What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brothers Forge Gaming. If you guys stopped by to check out my Nintendo handheld collection, checked out the games and some of the different stuff, stop by that video. We appreciate you stopping by. Now, in that video, I said that I was going to break the video up into two parts. One kind of focusing more on my collection of games and so forth, with kind of an overview of everything else. And then a separate video here where we're going to take a look at each one of the systems, kind of give a talk about it, give you my personal insight and kind of like my opinion of each one, show you some of the different accessories. So come along, join in on this trip down memory lane. We're going to have a few laughs, have a good time. It'll be fun. Let's get things started with the original Game Boy. This is my original Game Boy from when I was a youth. Got it for Christmas one year, or a birthday, I don't exactly remember. However, I've had that thing. This is my original. As I mentioned in the other video, there was a bit of an issue with the screen, so I don't know what's going on with that, or maybe it was just low batteries. Now, the original, if you guys played this back in 1989, 1990, whatever it was, you knew that you had to be, you know, at the perfect angle, the right, my neck, and trying to play this thing now, oh man. So this makes devices such as the Super Game Boy very handy. However, there are some downsides to that, and we'll talk about that when we get into that specifically. You could also get the Game Boy Player for GameCube, which has gone tremendously up in price. So if you don't have one, you know, I feel like I may never get one. So unfortunately, I'm stuck using some of these different methods, but we're going to talk about those different methods to play these original old great games on some of these different systems. But yes, the original Game Boy. So many hours. I mostly probably played like Tetris on this thing. I played so much Tetris on here, and some of the other ones, Castlevania, Double Dragon, just some of the original games. I vaguely remember there being like a Tecmo Bowl on here. I think I played a lot of. Just some of those simple games. I didn't play it a lot, mainly when we traveled or I didn't have access to a TV to play, like hook up my Nintendo to. But I kind of always had like a TV that I could hook my Nintendo to pretty much as I can remember. So it wasn't really a problem, more or less. So anyway, some funny accessories about this thing. Now, if you guys have not seen this, I don't remember what this thing's called. Oh, it says it right on there. It is called the Handy Boy. So notice, maybe this is like the predecessor to Virtual Boy or something. This is where they got the idea. I don't know, but notice the yellowing now. If you have a Super Nintendo console or even a Nintendo console, and I've actually seen some of the newer plastic of their stuff doing that too. So whatever it is about the plastic they use, or maybe it's some kind of lighting or deoxidation, or maybe it's a sign of bad things to come. But yeah, if you check this thing out, it's got a magnifying glass. It's got full-blown bumping speakers. You know, you got stereo sound. You really juice your Game Boy up with this. This thing comes out. It's like Voltron Go. I haven't used this thing in forever. It is real dusty. There's lights. I mean, you get it all. You get it all with this thing. So if you let's see if I can clip this on here. If you haven't seen this thing in action, you gotta strap suit and drop it because the damn thing weighs like 30 pounds once you're done with it. Breaking wrists and carpal tunneling since the beginning of the, you know, since the turn of the century. Well, since before then. Anyway, kind of a pill to get on. That's just one of the steps. There's also another step. You have to hook this, and this piece right here, guys. Don't get me started on this. If you see these little floppy things here, you have to get those just right on the battery connectors within this thing. Hook it up in here, right? And then somehow have it in here. So now by the time you're done with this, you've got all these plugs hanging out. Oh, and there's also this thing that goes over the control knob, which is super cool. It's kind of like a... kind of makes it a, you know, like a arcade function thing there. Pretty cool, makes it more like a controller. I think that is it for the bits of this thing app. So once you got Voltron Go here, let's put this down. You know, you got your speakers bumping. You've got 4 AA batteries, I think, in the Game Boy, which unless you had top of the line like lithium batteries, which I don't believe they had back in this time. They just had regular good old Energizer and Duracell. This thing would drain batteries so fast. You leave a light on, man. You didn't have like a stack of batteries with you everywhere you went. This thing was like way worse than a Game Gear in terms of juicing down batteries. But yeah, as you can see, I didn't plug this thing into the back, but like I said, you have to get this just right in here in the battery connectors. It is a huge pain in the ass. But it was super cool to have. I thought it was fun to get. I never really got to kind of like use it very effectively because of a lot of those reasons I just mentioned. See if I can't break the damn thing. It's so old. But it is cool. I'm glad I still have it. Like I said, this is my original stuff. You can see that discoloration. It's a little bit of a bummer there. I honestly haven't looked at this thing in so long, probably. I didn't even notice that. Hopefully it's not a sign. Oh yeah, and then this, that always happens too. There's this, where you hook up the link cable, that little tab, it pops out. And anyway, more problems with that thing than we need to talk about. If you don't want to go as high-tech as that, you can find these. These are kind of common. These go over Some of the different Game Boys might more like a magnifying glass, old lady glass, right? Make you feel like your grandma. I believe these are the original headphones from the Game Boy. And what's nice is you can actually, I believe you can just leave that on there if you want. I remember it not working very good, so kind of a piece of trash. And of course you got your adapter, your linker, you've got your link cables, wherever those are. I had some link cables around here somewhere. Hey, that's not good. I don't know where my original... Oh, these are probably them right there. Something like that, maybe. So old this rubber band is breaking. Oh, great. I'll have to throw that away. That's why you don't use rubber bands. If you can, save twist ties. Not the ones from the store, but like if you get electronics, you open stuff up, keep those twist ties. And especially if you want to keep your stuff OEM as well, just put those twist ties back into them. The new ones that we got with the Switch were those janky like bread tie ones that weren't very good, but you used to get some good twisty ties in those. Okay, so you know, just some various different chargers, and that's kind of one of the things about these handhelds. You got to have a bucket full of different chargers and cords and batteries and multi-taps and magnifying glasses and all sorts of other different random stuff. Stylus, if you forget one of those when you're, you know, playing some of the newer ones, it can be a huge mess. But one thing I did find very interesting, I think I found this at a Goodwill or something. I found that, or maybe, I don't know, maybe garage sale, junk bin somewhere. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it. I've looked up on this. I can't find out really any information on it. I might have held that upside down. Let's try that again. It's called a Teeny Tuner. Have no idea what system it goes to. I've tried to plug it into some of the different ones. I think I landed on that it plugs into one of the SPs or Game Boy Colors or something that I do not have. So if you guys know anything about that, let me know. Hopefully you can see that. Zoom in somehow if you can. But I thought that was interesting. Watch TV on your Game Boy? That sounds rad, okay? So yeah, we covered that, showed some of the different multi-taps. That's about it for the Game Boy. This is the original, you know, bad boy itself. This is the game I've mentioned. I like to play Tetris on this one. It's just nice to have. I love it. It just reminds me of my old Nintendo and stuff too. It's like a mini Nintendo. That's kind of one of the things I talked about as well in the previous video. If you guys want to go check that out, if you haven't, is that as a kid growing up, you thought, okay, you know, Mario came out on Game Boy and Nintendo, so it's the same game. You don't really realize that they're different games. So there's just this whole other world of stuff to get into. I just thought it was a miniature version of that game, and in a sense it is, but it's so much different. And the gameplay is a lot of like what you're seeing in today's indie style games. They're these smaller kind of games. They're quick plays. They're a lot of fun. So if you missed out on the handheld generation, there's some real gems out there. So make sure to, you know, hunt them down and find them, and whatever way you can play them. There's so many different ways you can play these old games. I'm sure you could figure it out. But yeah, keep an eye out. Well, you know, I'm going to show you some of the ways you can play those right now. Okay, so moving right along, I believe the Game Boy Color maybe came next. I don't have any of the Game Boy Colors or any of the different kind of SPs or anything. What you see is what I got here. Oh, and then some of the different game cases you can get. I kind of showed those. Some of the different game cases you could get for various Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. A lot of the different travel cases, these are key, these are money to have. A lot of these hold games and stuff too. I showed some of these in the other one, 3DS case there. And, you know, of course, always keep your boxes. I only have the box for the DS and the Switch. Because you know, as a kid, you don't really keep that stuff. I don't even think I ever originally had this because, you know, I talked about that. I bought this as like a used thing, so it didn't come with a box. Same with this. Anyhow, on to the Super Game Boy. This was like a mind-blowing revolution as you're going along. Okay, so you got your Nintendo. You're like, oh, this is so amazing. I love Nintendo. Then you get a Game Boy. You're like, this is pretty cool. I like playing my Game Boy. It's a lot of fun. And then you get a Super Nintendo for Christmas in 1992 or 3 or whatever year it was. And you're playing Mario World and you're going crazy. And then you're like, well, gee, my Game Boy sure is a piece of trash now, right? So then you get one of these, and oh my god, I can play my Game Boy games on my Super Nintendo, and you're just going crazy. And then there's these different kind of skins you can layer within the thing to change it up, make it look all cool. Yeah, so Super Game Boy, you're just juiced up, right? And then you get, you know, you go along and you get, oh, I really love Super Mario Land and the 6 golden coins. I'm gonna play this on my Super Game Boy. Or I love my Zelda or whatever. You plug it into this thing and it doesn't work. And you're like, huh? Does not support this game. Oh man, really? So more times than not, I feel like you run into this. I feel like, I don't know which games it was. I think it was Mario. It was either Mario 1 or Mario 2 on Game Boy. The golden coin one. I don't know if it's both or maybe just the second one. Anyway, the last few games I went to try to play in this thing is like, oh, it doesn't recognize it. So I don't know if my thing's busted, but I think I remember that from, you know, being a problem as a kid. So that's kind of a downside of that. But there are other options. The Game Boy player for the GameCube is a great way to go. It plays pretty much everything Game Boy Advance down, and it plays it well, and it doesn't really like ROM it. It kind of upconverts it. It emulates it in one of the best ways possible. I don't know the ins and outs of that. Look into it if you're interested. Maybe Easy will drop some knowledge on that one for us. I know he looked more into that than me, but the way it runs, it's actually different than the way this runs, because in a sense this just whatever it does, it boosts the game, whereas the other one, it actually like plays the game. So, something like that. So look into that if you're interested, or hey, like I said, maybe we'll get Easy to do a video for us. Anyway, moving right along. One feature I like about the Game Boy Advance, because like I said, I skipped the Game Boy Color, so I was pretty excited about this. I found it for a decent deal, and you know, I can't pass that up, right? But one real nice thing about this, not only does it play your Game Boy Advance games, it plays, I got a loose one here. Oh, I got multiple loose ones here. It plays, make sure that's clean, Game Boy Color, right? Boom, Game Boy Color right in there. It plays OG Game Boy. So if you look at the carts, that's one nice thing. You know, and if you notice something in gaming as well, backwards compatibility was more of a staple, a selling point on older consoles. You don't really see that anymore with the advent of these online stores. Okay, not only are these guys reselling you the same darn games over and over and over again every generation, which is cool to see them on a different thing and, you know, open it up for a new generation of gamers that don't want to go back and buy all this junk. Right, but at the same time, it's kind of a bummer because you were like, oh man, it'd just be so awesome if the 3DS played advanced games. Oh, but it doesn't. It doesn't play Game Boy games. It doesn't play any of that. And so if you ask me, in a comparison between these systems right here, let's just go with it. So we got all four of them right here. If you ask me in a comparison, which one, Game Boy DS, that's a different one too, Advance or 3DS, which is the best system to have for all your handheld needs, I'll tell you coming up a little later. Moving right along to the just the regular DS. Dual screen, I believe that's what it stands for. Really cool. You know, one thing I talked about in actually the Switch video as well, if you probably can't see it, but there's this hinge, right? That can be really annoying. Plus trying to use this darn stylus, okay? If you're like me, this kind of stuff can frustrate you, right? So, for an option to play on the go, these are incredible. I've had so many good hours of time playing on these handheld devices that it's tough to say it's not a worthwhile thing, but they're... I like to nitpick, I guess, so I find these little things, it's like, oh man, I would just rather play on my console, but in a pinch, I recommend you having these, because there's been times I'm like, I can't, I got nothing, a Game Boy, oh, save my life, oh, I need you, oh, yes, Game Boy, thank you, Game Boy, you know, when you're doing it, hallelujah. Anyway, a little bit of comedy for you there. All right, so, that being said, we talked about the Advance and how it plays Game Boy Color and back. Oh, Advance and back. Super awesome feature about this game. One thing I didn't necessarily talk about this was, again, it had kind of the same problems as your Game Boy, right, with the screen and trying to find the best shed of light that you can find. You still had, unfortunately, the same problem with this. They're not doing the side lit, or, you know, they're doing the side lit, not the backlit. So when you went to the next, I think it's the SP, it's a better version of the Advance that plays all the games as well, but it's actually backlit and some of the better features that make it more appealing to play. But like I said, if this is all you got, that's all you got. You can figure out how to take best advantage of that. What you have right here is the regular DS. Okay, not the 3DS, not the 2DS, but just the regular DS. Now I don't know if it's every model. I don't know if it's every model of this that plays and does this, or if it's just this one. But as you can see, this nifty little piece comes out here, okay? So again, you can play your... You can put your... Whoop, get in there. You can put your Game Boy Advance games in there. So one super neat feature about that. And like I said, I don't know if this is all models of the DS, if it's only this slick pink one, if you're into that. And then of course, you know, it hooks up with all the different stuff. It's got a spot for the stylus. These are super easy to lose. I'd make sure to have lots of those if you enjoy using the stylus. Okay, you've got different controls and whatnot that you're used to on here, volume and some of the different things there. And then, of course, the top where the game goes in and out. We're going to get back to this in just a second. So what I would say so far about all of these is that your variety, if you want an older kind of generation thing, go like Game Boy Advance SP back. If you don't mind some of the modern features and the up-converting and different things that might go along with playing your games on this might be the way to go. So then you're asking me, okay, what about the Nintendo 3DS? This, you guys, is possibly the greatest handheld machine ever made. Now, you could argue PSP is really good, Sony Vita really good. The stuff you can do with those is incredible. The modding and different things you can do make those incredible. But like I said, when I think about collecting handheld, I think about Nintendo. Okay, and some of the advantages you get from playing like PSP and stuff, there are certain patches and things that you have to keep updated, and once the service stops for that, you can't get those patches, or you didn't save it on an alternate thing to be able to upload that if you have to replace the internal battery and then it needs a build. You may have problems playing those in the future. I don't believe the same can be said about this. This is vanilla, this is stock. Yes, you can do internet stuff with it, but you don't have to, right? And it has the dual screen. It's got the better rotating bar than you get with, say, or thumb pad, than you just get with the straight brick D-pad on there on the DS. So in terms of upgrading there, you're upgrading a bit with the screen, the size, the capabilities, this and that, and then the internet connectivity and things that you don't quite get with the DS. You know, this one has a bit, it's got the camera, it's got the webcam, the Wi-Fi stuff you're not getting necessarily on this version of the DS. Okay, so there are some different features that you get here. Obviously, my heart will always belong to the original Game Boy. Similar to the original Nintendo, my heart will always belong with you. And I'm pointing at my Nintendo. It's just the way I am. Maybe it's the old school in me. I don't know, man. You tell me. Modern gaming is great, right? I love it. It's so good. It's just so many different things that's going on with it. But my heart will always just belong to that Nintendo. And you can take that to the bank.